It started with gas, then poop, and ended with a ghosting. Sit back, and I will regale you with a tale so indescribable, you might think I'm making it up. I have been known to spin a few yarns, but this is a doozy. I have changed the names. I rented from XYZ Realty from 2014 to 2020, utilizing 2 different properties. I had excellent interactions with 2 other previous property managers. When I moved into the second property, I let the property manager PM know about a trash issue. He gave me the option of taking the dumpsters out on trash day for $20 off of my rent, which helped immensely. I even made sure that this was done when I broke my leg not taking out the trash, I promise. It was a different fight with gravity. I was recuperating at my mom's house, so she and my sister made sure the dumpsters were put out. They also took care of my 2 cats. I even did a few extra things to make sure that XYZ was getting their money's worth. There was an issue with my countertop dishwasher, but I promptly reported the problem and paid for the repairs. When I left both places, I received my deposit back with only minor and reasonable deductions. In 2020, as the pandemic forced us to work from home, I found myself in need of a larger space. I had also started paying my rent in weekly installments to manage my finances better. I always made sure to pay the last part on the 5th to avoid any issues. It was during this time that I called the office to inquire about a newly listed property with more space. This is when I first spoke with Connie, the ex-PM. She flatly said no, citing that I never paid my rent on time. I said a few words back and hung up. At that point, I decided to move to a place with a pool and a gym. Cut to 2023. My employer of 12 years decided to cut their staff and move the majority of their business overseas. I decided to look for a job at our local state university and move back downtown. I started working at the university in May of 2023. In June, XYZ listed the pink cottage. I had always admired it from my apartment when I lived in the Victorian. I applied for it and was approved. Upon seeing the listing for the pink cottage, I was immediately drawn to it. However, I noticed that the listing mentioned gas usage. This prompted me to call the office and speak with Charlie, an associate ex-PM, to clarify whether the property had a gas water heater or if the gas was strictly for heating the place. My mom had a gas heater at her house but changed it to an electric heater. She's always had an electric water heater. I wanted to confirm if the cottage had a gas water heater or if the gas was strictly for heating the place. Charlie told me that she thought it was just for heating but that there was an electric water heater. I was satisfied with the answer, and I moved in there in August. Before I moved in, I discussed utilities with Connie. I wanted to use an electric heater, as I did not want to deal with gas heat. Connie said they would be concerned about burst water pipes, especially considering the age of the cottage. I acknowledged those concerns. Before moving in, she told me that all the utilities had to be turned on. I messed up here, I can admit it, because I should have asked her for clarification regarding all utilities. Me and the cats move in. I only had a minor issue: they had painted the breaker box door shut, which was promptly resolved. I used the second bedroom for storage. My job became extremely tense, and I was let go in October. Honestly, for a month and a half, I was scared that I was going to have to move in with my mother. Luckily, I was still not done packing. I became depressed. Also, one of my cats became ill, so I was dealing with that as well. Housekeeping lagged. By December, I'm back at the university in a new department. I love my new department, so I decided to wait until January to start unpacking again. January 4th rolls around, and I have no hot water. I left a ticket with XYZ. Aft, RA delay, because my senior cat didn't make it to the litter box. I found out that the cottage uses gas for both heat and water. I'm also treated to a phone call from Connie that involves some heavy gaslighting and her screaming into the phone like I'm a petulant child. I get the gas turned on and resolve never to call them again for anything. However, I did move my cat's robot litter box and regular box senior cat and all to the second bedroom. I also got 2 generic car trunk mats to protect the floor, and I cleaned up the bathroom. Also, both of my cats are female and have been fixed. Then, as if the gods decided to have more fun, the dishwasher stops draining. I do some quick troubleshooting and release the control board. I hesitantly let them know. It was resolved that the unit needed to be replaced, and I started using it as a giant dish rack. 2 weeks later, the unit is replaced. However, this is when Connie decides that my lease will not be renewed. Why do you ask? Because my senior cat popped on the mat that I provided. The smell is horrendous. She used capital letters in her text, and the owner says it will cost thousands to remove the smell. Seriously, this woman should do Shakespeare. I promptly emailed Connie, advising her that I had accepted this determination and resolved to have the place cleaned once I had left. I also dropped my former employer, the judge who handled evictions in our county. This is where my second landlord found me. I have always had a good relationship with my landlords. I wanted her to know that I knew my rights and would not be intimidated. I also removed the 5-star review I had left back in 2018. This reduced their rating to 3.4. On Facebook, they have a 2.4. Yelp is also sitting at a 2.4. The BBB has them at a 1.4. For context, there is an apartment complex in our town where one of the reviews states I feared for my life, and they have a 3.5. Once I got home from work, I cleaned everything up. I also removed the smell with some air freshener and a couple of Febreze plugins. Connie then informed me that they are going to start doing weekly inspections for a month, then bi-weekly until the end of my lease. I invested in a cheap nanny cam, but I also cleaned the box every morning, emailing her a picture with a timestamp. Now, because of my malicious compliance, they held off on doing the weekly inspection for about 3 weeks. Then, with proper notification, she and Charlie came by. They declare that the litter box has not been cleared in a week, and I allow my animals to SHT anywhere. Translation: I'm a liar and a bad pet parent. I start making arrangements to move immediately. I also advised that despite what she thought, both cats used the regular litter box. She thought that one cat used the regular box while the other used the automatic box, which totally made no sense. I ended up finding an ideal situation and resolved to pay out the rest of my lease utilities and insurance. I had 3 months left. April 3rd. Connie announced another inspection. I advised her that we had relocated. However, I would be paying the rest of my lease utilities, etc., which ironically was cheaper than breaking the lease outright. So, now they are highly cooperative in showing the place. The inspection has then been reorganized into a showing for 4/8. On 4/8, I was advised that they had rescheduled for 4/10. On 4/9, I get a message from Charlie regarding the showing for the next day. That afternoon, I got an angry text message from Connie regarding a different showing that she had for that day. This particular argument came because I used 3-meter strips to hang my pictures. I was advised to use them in the other 2 places. However, the problem with these strips is that once removed, they can take off the paint. I tried to be careful with this. Since my relationship with Connie was already one that would give me heart palpitations if I got a text message from her, I got some PLA. Stir to repair the damage. I even offered to paint if they could tell me the color. I asked her about the color, but she stated that it was a violation of my lease to paint. Fine, you guys can paint. I saved the email from this previous conversation. So, I reminded her that we had discussed this in a previous email and provided the date. It is silly for me to assume that as a property manager, she would know the proper steps to repair wall damage. Oh, and she hated the scent of the cleaner I used. Being that it was lavender, I understood that it could be overwhelming. I obtained 2 citrus-scented plugins in addition to the 2 I already had in there. My mother went back there to use some floor cleaner. A few more text messages are exchanged regarding the smell and wishing to delay showing the place again. If the smell doesn't get any better, we may ask you to have it professionally cleaned. Oh, and the lemon scent is overpowering. I asked a professional cleaner to access the place for me. She declared the place clean and cleaner than most places she had been to. She also said that it smelled fine. I relayed this information to XYZ. I also asked them why there was a window air conditioner in my living room. Seriously, there was a window AC in my living room. Technically, since the rent had been paid until May, it was still my living room. I was advised that they did not know why there was an air conditioner being stored there. The matter would be investigated. In the meantime, please remove the plugins. I responded, I would. Come the following Monday, I forgot to stop by after a long day at work. I made plans to do so today 4/16. I'm then treated to this text message. Connie. Just went in and removed the air freshener, cat urine smell is still definitely there. I am going to put an ozone machine in and see if that helps. I will not show it until we cannot smell it. I suggest calling floor cleaners and see if they have a treatment for hardwood floors for cat urine smell. I have used D&D carpet cleaning, and they charged $450.00 to treat last app we had to do. Me. I have already had a professional cleaner access the place, and she said there was no cat urine smell. She said the place was clean, and there was nothing that needed to be done. Also, I had the same cat with the other 2 places, and was not told that I needed to get the floors done. Those floors were steamed and mopped twice, and floor cleaner was applied. Connie. The cats did not go outside the box back then. Like they were at the apartment. The owner is going over today to make sure I am not crazy. I will let you know what he says. Charlie showed it and also thought it smelled like cat urine. Paul and I are headed over in a bit. Me. My senior cat pooped on a mat, and it was promptly cleaned up, or it was when I got home. They did not pee outside of the box. Connie. I am not going to continue to argue with you about the smell. Charlie and I smell strong cat urine, and the owner is going to go to make sure we are not crazy. The app is off the market until the smell is better. I responded with a simple okay. 2 hours later, Connie texted me back, stating that all the owner could smell a lemon plug-in. Also, the place is being shown on April 19th. When I left work that day, I received another message saying that the place was being shown the next day. I went back to the cottage. She had removed 2 of the plugins but missed the one in the bedroom. Honestly, I could have left it there, but I took it with me. I also took some more pictures before I locked the door. 4/17. I received a text from Connie asking for permission to enter as they would like to swap out the vanity and the mirror. She is still putting in an ozone machine for the smell that may or may not be there. At this point, I'm over it. 4/18. Connie texted me regarding another showing. She is being super professional for once, and I was starting to feel bad for the way I behaved. Then I beard all the screaming text messages, and I got over it. 4/19. Today is showing day. Fingers crossed. Got my gas bill. 30 minutes later. I got a text from Charlie. Showing did not go well. She held her shirt to her face and said it smelled like cat. Please work on it. Mopping with a vinegar mixture might help. I relayed the message to Mom, who said that we could do that. I still believe the smell will magically be there no matter what is done, and they will use that as an excuse to keep my deposit. I also found their interactions with possible renters suspicious. Before one showing, my mom stopped by to mop the floor with cleaner. The prospective renter came early. My mom was putting the stuff back in the car and told her to go have a look. The lady came back and said that while the place was CU, it was a bit small. They chatted like old friends until Charlie arrived. I mean, serious, my mom could make friends anywhere. I have ordered 2 bottles of enzyme spray and had a friend come over who could moonlight as a bloodhound. She couldn't smell anything except an old house. 4/24. I emailed the property manager Connie asking to be released from the lease early, stating that I wanted to help my mom with some unexpected bills. I haven't received a response. Seriously, I would have appreciated a form letter, at least. 4/30. I paid my May rent. My mother argued that I should hold it off as long as possible. I didn't want to have to deal with it over the weekend. 5/1. I got an email from Connie stating that a showing had been scheduled for 5/13. I was a bit surprised by this as the cottage is not listed on the website. I'm not holding my breath. 5/3. I got a message from Connie that the showing had been cancelled, big surprise. I decided to email them again, requesting to be released from the lease 30 days early. I cited the cancelled showing and, again, my desire to aid my mother financially. My mentioning the cancelled showing would of course make her respond. She did and said it wasn't her fault. Oh, and I had an obligation to the lease. She's doing her best to lease it. At this point, I don't believe her. The cottage is still not listed on the website. Now, here's where I will be and I don't care. I brought up the argument to my mother about ghosting the landlord. Before, she was against it. This time, she agreed with me. My sister has given me a few tips on avoiding bill collectors. They don't have my forwarding address. Before June 1st, I'm going to head over to the cottage and take photos. This is just in case she wants to say I did something that I didn't. On June 1st, I will block her email and phone number. Mom stated that she would write a return to the sender on anything that comes to the house, on the off chance they use my old forwarding address. I have disconnect notices for the power company and gas. I cancelled my renter's insurance for the place. Honestly, I could have done that a while ago. I also Googled myself and reset a few things, my LinkedIn profile and YouTube videos. My name is on my department's webpage, but you really have to scroll down to find it. There is an old AI picture of me without my glasses but with better hair and chin. Since their office is downtown, I don't place on going near there anytime soon. The building does have a coffee shop, but you can get better coffee the next block over. I feel like a weight has been lifted. Yes, I'm losing my deposit, but I'm coming out ahead. Hashtag sorry but not sorry. TLDR. It started with gas, then poop, and ended with a ghosting.